What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Code with Me Daily. I'm Britt. This is Afro Academic, and come on in. So the concept of the channel is that we will be coding together. So I am a computer science student hoping to land a technical interview at a big tech company for next summer. So that means right now I need to be grinding LeetCode, getting my coding down so that I can start applying this fall for a technical interview. So that means I'm grinding it out. But guess what? I am a beginner to coding, just started learning Python, brand new. I'm an adult learner, so I'm not jumping straight into LeetCode. I'm actually doing some LeetCode building block questions. So the questions today will be super basic, super beginner friendly. We're doing like problems that will lead up to LeetCode. They're LeetCode-Style problems. So the problem will be posted on the screen. And the challenge for today is to solve each problem using stacks, queues, or two pointers. So if you've ever taken data structures and algorithms, so you know about stacks and queues, and also two pointers. These are very three super essential techniques to know, or data structures to know for technical interviews. So that's our challenge today. Solve these in under 45 minutes. I will be talking out loud as I'm solving it, which is what needs to be done in a real interview. So I'm going to simulate this for myself like a real interview and talk through my thought process out loud. The solution will be revealed at the break. We'll go over the solution at the end, so code along with me and put in 45 minutes on. Now let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start by reading the question out loud. You want to add a creative twist to your post by reversing the order of characters in each word within your post while still preserving white space and the initial order. Given a string post, use a queue to reverse the order of characters in each word within the sentence. Okay. So I'm going to read it to myself as I just take some notes on the iPad to kind of help me visualize what is being asked. Okay, so you want to add a creative twist to your post by reversing the order of characters in each word. Okay, so let's say my word is friend. And I want to reverse the order. So basically, if my word is friend, I want to reverse that. So D-N-E-I-R-F, okay, in each word. Okay, so this string post is going to have multiple words. And it's going to have white space. Okay, so let's say if my string, let's say if post equal friend or foe, the string friend or foe. So then I would need to return, just reverse every word. E-O-F. Okay, so I would need to return D-E-N-E-I-R-F space R-O space E-O-F. So return. Wow, that's interesting. So I do need to make sure spaces are intact. One question that I have, or potential edge case, is I want to know if my input will have numbers in it. and like how do we reverse the numbers. So I'm going to assume that my input would not have numbers, and what I'm going to do on the screen here is what I want to start with is just my understanding. And within this kind of understanding phase, I'm reading the question, and then I am just understanding what it's asking me, but I'm also asking the interviewer any questions that I have, and then asking about any edge cases. So I'm going to put potential edge cases, and I'm going to say will, actually let me comment this whole block out. Will string contain numbers? I'm going to just say no, so I'm not going to plan for that. And then the other question is, will the string have punctuation? Have punctuation. So I may need to plan for that if I have time. Okay. So they want me to use the Q to reverse the order of characters in each word within the sentence. Okay. So I'm going to write this in my understanding in my own words. So in my own words, I take this to mean given a string, given a string. Actually, let me say given a sentence, because we're going to need to preserve the spaces. So I'm going to say given a sentence, reverse the order of each word, ensure spacing is preserved in words, and even capitalization. Okay. That is my understanding of what I am to do. Now I actually want to move into what was called the planning phase. And so this is where I start doing my pseudocode and thinking through how I'm actually, what my step-by-step plan is before I start coding. So to do that, I want to start to think about how a queue works. So I'm just drawing on my iPad a queue, and I know that a queue is literally like a line. So I think of a Starbucks line. So I'm just going to draw like a line, and I'm going to say Starbucks, and I'm going to say enter here in the back, enter here, and then exit line, and you get called up to the counter. Who's next? Next up. Okay, so this is a counter to pay. So in a queue, the first person who enters that queue is going to be the first person called out. So that's why they call a queue FIFO, or first in, first out. Now what I want to think about then is, why would they want me to use a queue to reverse the word, or how does a queue work to reverse a word? Okay, so let's see here. So let's say if I have the word friend, F-R-I-E-N-D, and I want my output to be D-N-E-I-R-F. Okay. Actually, before I understand the queue, I actually want to look at the test cases, and I just want to make sure I understand the test cases to make sure I fully understand the problem. I should have did that before I moved on to the plan phase. So I'm kind of backtracking. Okay. Okay, so boost your engagement with these tips. Exactly what I expected. Okay, that's exactly what I thought. Let me take a look at the AI hints down below. This problem may benefit from the use of a queue, a data structure that allows the first in, first out FIFO principle. Okay. So let me play around with this. I'm going to take the word friend just as a sample, or I'll use their word that they gave in the test case, which let me go ahead and add the test cases here into my file, and then I also want to add in the test cases the edge cases that I thought of, and I always want to consider if the string is empty, so that will always be a test case. And for an empty string, I'm expecting just the empty string to be returned. This is the peace which you cannot buy. What is the joy that you cannot be? What is the joy that you cannot be? Any other one price that you cannot. This is the peace that you cannot buy. Okay, let me see. Now, we also need to make sure if it's just one word, we need to just return. So that would be T. If our one word was boost, we need to return TSOOB, capital B, because we do need to preserve the capitalization. Ensure spacing is spacing and capitalization is reserved. Capitalization is preserved. Okay. Also, the test case I wanted to do was if we have time, I'm going to do these edge cases of will string contain numbers. Yeah, like what if it was like boost your engagement 1 and boost your, like what if it was a word like that? I need to make sure. And to be honest, the string could literally just contain all numbers. Like the string could literally be like 64652, and we would need to make sure it reverses that string. And then the last one, if the string had punctuation, I just want to make sure the punctuation is reversed. So that would actually be a question I would want to ask the interviewer. Will the string have punctuation, and if so, will the punctuation need to be reversed? I need to find relief. My mind is right. All these thoughts are traveling. Yeah, so okay, yes, the string could have punctuation, and yes, the punctuation will also need to be reversed. So we're not preserving the punctuation. I'm just gonna assume that. So if I have like something like that, and then let's say I have period. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's all the test cases that I'll deal with now. I'm happy with this set of test cases. Now let me move back into understanding this queue. Now, to be totally honest, stacks and queues, I've really only been working on them for the past 3 days, so it is not a concept that I'm like super tight on. So I'm still kind of learning this whole queue situation. Okay, so if I have the word boost and I'm using a queue, what I'm going to do, and I know queue uses the process for like NQ and DQ. So I believe NQ is when you push it into the queue, DQ is when you take it out of the queue. So essentially NQ is when a person is getting in the line, and DQ is when they're called to the counter, like next, so they're coming out of the line. If I'm thinking about it like a Starbucks line. Okay, so if I NQ, if I'm using the word boost, I'm going to NQB, I'm going to NQO, I'm going to NQO, I'm going to NQS, and I'm going to NQT. Okay, so if I spit that out, that does not reverse it. Okay, if I spit it out, oh, I need to add to the Q backwards, I think. So I think for the word boost, I literally need to add to the Q T, S, O, O, and then B. Let's try that. Alright. So I'm going to NQ backwards. So starting from the back of each word. And I'm going to do T, S, O, O, B. And then I'm going to, so that's NQ, to add it to the Q. And then I want to DQ like Dairy Queen. DQ T, S, O, O, B. Okay. Now, so I understand that part. Now, I know in my planning phase, I need to somehow grab each word. So let me see. I'm just gonna do a little, I just want to test out some syntax. So if I have post, and I want to print index 1 of post, is that going to print the word B, or is that going to print the whole word boost? I think it will print the entire word boost, but I want to just double check that. I'm just commenting out all my other test cases. So I want to say print post, and let me say index 0. Okay, I'm actually going to use my command line to try to run it. That's a good practice, they say. So I'm just running it down here on my terminal. So I'm cding into, where am I? It's not going to work because I just saved it as a Python file. Okay. Okay, that is not how you access a, so I got a type error. str object is not callable, so I am not, this is not the right syntax to access an element in a dictionary. Access the element in a string. Okay, that is the correct syntax, and it returned B, which I am not okay with because I need a way to not iterate through it word by word. Letter by letter. I need to iterate through it word by word because I need to preserve the spaces. So I need to see if there is a way that I can loop through this string and say only give me the comma separated or the space separated values. So I'm actually going to look up some syntax for strings. Alright, string. Let me take a look. Let's see. Okay, let me look at some of the built-in functions for strings. Okay, length, range, sum, min, max, no. Okay, append, sort. Okay, that's gonna sort the string. We don't need that. Dot lower, we do not need that. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, let's look at the split method. So string has a split method. Splits the string into a list along white space or a specified separator. Okay, now my instructor did say that oftentimes when you're solving these technical interview coding challenges, that you will often need to use sometimes two or three data structures or an intermediate data structure to get to the data structure you're trying to get to. So this problem may actually require me to get a list before I can do what I need to do, but let's see. So this split method, which is a method of the string of strings, okay, splits the string into a list along white spaces. That might, so it would be, syntax would be split equals post dot split. Say the split method accepts one parameter, a separator, the characters along which the string will be split. This is an optional parameter. By default, the string is split along white space. Okay, why am I trying to do this? Let me slow down because my mind is getting a little bit jumbled. The problem is I want to loop through this string post, but I don't want to loop through it character by character. I actually want to loop through it word by word and then reverse each word. So this is why I'm thinking about potentially using this split method to convert the string into a list, because when I iterate through a list, I can iterate through it word by word. Let me try it out. Okay, so if I say, let me try this split method. Split equals post dot split. Wow, time is flying. 22 minutes. Oh gosh. Okay. Split equals post dot split, and then I want to know if I iterate through for lm in split, will lm be the entire word? So I really want lm to be boost, then your, then engage, then with, then these, then tips. So let's test it out here and see what we get. So I'm going to print or run it, see what we get. Oh, perfect. Okay, so that works. Yes. So when I run it in line 5, when I enter in this like print statement, I do get the full word. So therefore, in my planning phase, my first step is I'm going to convert the string to a list using that method, so that so I can loop through word by word rather than char by char. Okay, now I'm gonna do, okay, we're gonna do that. Now, when I'm inside of this, for loop, I want to take a limb and essentially reverse it. And I know with strings there is a really simple method to reverse. So that's actually something I want to ask the interviewer. Can I use the built-in like Python syntax to just reverse the order of a string, or do you want me to reverse the order iteratively? Let me just assume I can use the Python reverse. Okay, so let me find that. There is a function. It's not really a function, it's just like syntax where you can reverse the order of a string. Part of me thinks it's something like, let me write that in my pseudocode. So reverse the order of each word. Okay, part of me thinks that is something like LM. I do keep a document with all my string syntax. So let me go to my string syntax documents. Okay, I have, here we go, string syntax, and then I also have a string manipulation document. Okay, remove the last word from a string, get the first character of a string, get the last character of a string, prints only items 1, 2, and 3, gets the, okay, none of these are what I want, but if I had to look at these, oh, here we go. Reverse the entire string and preserve oh my goodness, don't tell me I could have just used this whole if I could use this whole thing, I'm gonna be like, what? I gotta try it. I gotta try to use just this one whole thing. Like literally, if I could just do this, let me see. Okay. Okay, let me see. What if what if, let me find out. Okay, let's see. What? Oh, no, okay, no. This does not work because too good to be true. So it does reverse each word, but it also reverses the entire string, but I'm just supposed to reverse each word in place. But what if I just remove like a colon? Let me see. Okay, that did not work. Okay, now I'm just like playing around with stuff, and it's 17 minutes. Got to move. Okay, I really should be done with this part. Yeah, okay, so maybe there's not a way to do that, but I'm glad to know this because I want to use it on LM. Yes, I want to use this syntax on LM to reverse the word in place. So let me see if that works. Let's see. If you hear my stomach growling, I am so hungry. I've been trying to eat, sidebar. Let me not get distracted. But my stomach is growling. Okay. Okay, let me print LM. Okay, here we go. Print. Okay, excellent. It literally reverses every word. Yes, that's exactly what I want. Okay. Perfecto. Now I need to append it to a string. Okay, so let me create an empty string that I'm going to return. And let me just make sure it's not like you can't return a new empty string. Does it say that? Okay. Oh my gosh, but if I do it this way, I'm not using a queue. I can't believe this. Okay. I cannot do it this way because I gotta use a queue. This sucks. Oh boy. Okay, so forget that. What am I thinking? Oh. Alright, so there's no, this is just, I can't even believe I wasted so much time trying to understand that, and I'm supposed to use a queue. Alright, so in that case, I just need to delete all of this pseudocode, and I'm going to loop through in that case, I do need to push each character. I need to push each character onto the queue and queue each character. But then how do I tell it stop when you've reached a space? Essentially, I need to, I'm going to write that down. And queue each character onto queue, but stop once a blank space is reached. So I'm going to loop through. I'm going to get rid of this whole idea of using this list, unnecessary. So I'm just going to loop through for LM and post, but I want to do the length of the post. Let me see something. If I say I and post, what is I? I really need to learn what these things do without having to print. Oh, okay. So check that out. When I print I, it actually prints like B-O-O-S-T, and it prints the space. So it's almost like Python is reading the space as its own character, which is excellent. That is great news. So what I can say is, so I'm going to loop through each character and post, and then I want to say if the character is a okay, so once I hit a space, that's going to be my trigger to DQ. Yes, okay. Once a space this is triggered to DQ. Okay, so essentially I'm going to say if I want to make it char because it's not an index. So if Just call it letter, because it is a letter. So if letter, and I think I can say, I can use is alpha. Let's see, is alpha, what does that do? Returns true if all characters in a string are alphabetic letters. Okay, so if letter so that returns true. Or I can say, I actually low-key might want to use a while loop and just be like while letter is not a space. I want to do that. I want to say while letter is not equal to that. I think it's just that. I think. Okay, so while letter is not a space, I want to append letter to the queue. Okay, so let me, I believe I can use the append on queues, but let me see what functions or methods I can use with the queue data structure. So let me see here. Just looking at my resources. Okay, so I can use append to add a new element to the right side. Oh, okay, I need to understand, how are elements removed from a queue? So I assumed that they were going to pop off to the right, but I wonder if elements are removed from a queue on the left, because that's going to make a difference. Okay, let me read about queues. Queues are a special type of list where each element is always added and removed in a certain order. The term queue comes from the British meaning of the word queue, a line of waiting people. Queue data structure follows the same logic as queues of real people. Practically speaking, this means that new elements are always appended to the end of the queue and removed from the beginning. Okay, but which side is the beginning and end? Oh, look at that. I need to initialize a new queue. That's step one, which is, I do that by saying QUE. It's such a funny word, like Q. If I didn't know how to spell that, I would say QE. Kiki. Kiki. I would say that, yeah. Okay, Q equals DEQUE. Okay. So this is me initializing a new queue. Okay, so if I do queue.pop left, it removes an element from the beginning left side of the queue. I guess in my mind I'm thinking you remove from the right, so okay, because literally you have, they say you have pop left and append left. I don't know. I'm gonna go with how I'm thinking about it in my head. This might be wrong, but 6 minutes. Okay, while the letter is not a space, I want to Q dot append letter. So we're going to keep doing that. Once it does hit a space, I'm going to DQ, which, okay, so removed letter. I mean, is there a pop right at all? Okay, we're just gonna say pop left. Q dot pop left. Okay. And then I'm going to add this. I'm going to add this letter to my string, followed. How do I put spaces in it though? So if I create my new string, so that would be my next step, initialize a new string for result. String results. Now I'm getting like nervous because I know it's like less than 5 minutes and I want to finish this before looking at the solution, or at least try to get it running before. So append the whole thing on there. It's going to keep doing that. It's going to append. Removed letter. I do know every time you pop something, you need to check if it's empty. I know that's how stacks work. Oh, I also need to import. I think I need to import import DQ. Okay, my challenge is this. This is where my hang up is. In line 11, when I start to DQ the items, so I start to remove them from the queue, I need to do that until the queue is empty. So I almost need like another while loop in here. So I almost then need to say like while you know, like while the queue, because stacks have like is stack is empty, so maybe it's I just want to say like while the stack is not empty. Like while there's something still in the queue, I'm sorry, while there's something still in the queue. Because a stack, you can say like while stack not empty or is empty, and I don't know. 2 minutes. Oh gosh. Okay, I just need to Google how to check if a stack is, if a queue queue is empty Python. Okay, let's see. To check if your queue is empty in Python, you could utilize the empty method. So apparently I can say while queue dot empty, but that's like a boolean, so I don't know. Okay, so while queue dot empty, no, while it is not empty, so while queue dot empty equals false, I am going to remove each letter, and I'm going to append the letter to result. I'll be honest, the challenge that I'm having with this is that there needs to be a space behind it. So how am I preserving the space in this? All right, 20 seconds. Wow. Because I could do append remove letter plus space. The problem with that is that I don't want a space after the last word. Alright, gotta look at the solution. I'm going to go back into the session so that I can share the solution with everybody. Let me go back to the solution. This one is called Post Editor. Okay, let me go back into the session here, and I'm going to read the comments after I take a look at the solution, so I'll reserve enough time. So essentially we'll break until the hour. Okay. Alright, so here's the solution to the problem, and first let's look at their suggested edge cases, which they say what needs to be reversed in the post. The order of the character in each word within the post should be reversed. Should the order of the word themselves be changed? No. Should spaces be handled? Yes, we know that. Okay, here's the plan. Okay, my plan starts on line 26 here. Initialize and empty the queue. Oh, there's such thing called a double-ended queue. Interesting. Okay, I hope you guys are seeing that. So, initialize an empty list to build the final result. Okay, so the list did come into play. Oh, that's why. Because I think every time you append something to a list, okay, I'm not going to look at what they said, but here, this is what I think would need to happen. So I am going to append to append to the string to make each character a string, but then I want to, and I'm going to store it in a variable called word, and then I should add word to our list. So really, okay, resulting list. Okay, and then if I say resulting list dot, do you append stuff to lists the same way? Dot append word, something like that. Because okay, let me just okay, it says iterate through each character in the post. If the character is not a space, and Q it to the DQ. Got that part. If the character is a space, DQ all characters with DQ. Okay, that logic I had working. Okay, after the loop, handle all remaining characters in the DQ, the last word. Join all elements in the result. Join, so I would use the join function. Okay, let's look at common mistakes. Forgetting to handle the last word if the post does not end with a space. That is an edge case I did not consider. If the whole string ends with a space. Okay, accidentally reversing the entire string. Accidentally reversing it. Okay, right. We know we shouldn't do that. Not preserving the space. Okay, now let me look at, this is the implementation. Alright, let me start from the top. So they initialized the new queue here. They set up the results list. So they didn't even use this whole idea of a string. So then I'm curious, how did they put the word back together? Okay, excellent. So they did for char in post, for letter in post. They did not use the while loop. They just said if char is not equal to this space, then append char. But see, my thing is, if you don't use the while loop, how do you do it for just that word? Okay, so we're saying if char is not equal to the space, append it, else while q, which I mean, okay, so I can just say while q is not empty, literally while q. That's good to know. While q, literally. Let me just put a note for myself. So while q is not empty, result dot append so while the queue is not empty, append the popped element. But isn't the popped element literally just a char, not the entire word? Okay, let me take a look at the comments. Alright. Rat Buster said, okay, let's see. Def edit post. Oh, okay, he's copying the coding. Okay. Alright, let me look at my let me put you over here so I can look at the code simultaneously with your comment. So you're saying to, yeah, but see, the thing about that, Rat Buster, is that I have to use a queue. So if you're using that, the syntax of the bracket colon -1, how are you using the queue? And I agree. I feel like that answer will reverse each word like that, which I tested, but it's just not using the queue. So how would you have implemented it with the queue, or would you have still used that same type of reverse syntax with the queue? Hey, variables for you. Yeah, so I'll read the comments during a break, but not during the actual coding session. Let's see what else. Okay, I don't think the numbers matter since they are just treated as characters and not used by any math. Okay, so you would say that in edge case that I would not need to consider if the string contains numbers. That's really irrelevant. I think that's what you would say. Okay, Honest says, I need a function to split the words. I need a function to split the words and a function to reverse the sentence. Okay, yeah, because that's why I looked up that split function. So that would actually make sense. Okay, so let me ask you, honest person, if you're still on here, where would you put the split function? Because see, I was thinking about the split function, but that was before I was thinking about using the queue. But now it seems like since I'm using the queue, that you still would not use the split function. Let me know. Scooby says it's easier in Python. Yeah, I am. I'm using Python. Alright, the question is pretty weird since it's telling you to use a queue. Intuitively, you should be thinking about using a stack to solve this problem, since stacks are LIFO and queues are FIFO. I don't know. It tells me to use a queue, so you definitely can use a queue with it. And a lot of times these problems, yes, there probably is a better data structure to use it. But remember, as I mentioned in the intro, these problems are like basically building blocks to getting you stronger in LeetCode. So they want to teach you ways of using all the different data structures. And so this is just probably the problem that they chose to say, practice implementing a queue. Yeah, you still need to preserve the order of the words in general. Yeah. So that is why, because the Maximilian, because the words needed to be reversed, that's why I couldn't use what Ratbuster suggested, which was using that brackets : -1, because what that did when I tested it out, it actually it reversed the words, yes, but it actually reversed the entire order of the sentence, which is not what we wanted.